a trembling whisper from a 10-year-old girl on the very first day she was taken out of the orphanage, left millionaire Alexander Reed frozen in place. He never imagined that single sentence would unravel a painful secret adults had tried so hard to hide. Alexander set the glass down on the rack, the faint clink echoing through the wide, empty kitchen. Alone in his mansion, he suddenly realized it had been years since any sound had filled this place, other than the ticking of the clock and the steady drip of water from the faucet. At 40, he had everything most people dreamed of: money, a company, a name that carried weight. But all of it had turned hollow the day he lost his wife and young son in an accident. Since then, this vast house had been nothing but silence. The phone rang. He picked it up. "This is Alexander Reed." On the other end came a woman's voice, clear yet warm. "Hello, Mr. Reed. This is Abigail from the Child Welfare Center. Your adoption application has been approved." Alexander's hand tightened around the pen he was holding. His chest contracted briefly before he asked softly, "Which child?" "A 10-year-old girl named Anna. Her father just passed away. The remaining guardian, her stepmother Laura, has officially declined custody due to financial reasons. The child is currently in the center. If you're ready, you may come meet her today." Alexander fell silent for a few seconds. Declined custody. Those 3 words cut straight into his heart. A 10-year-old who had just lost her father, abandoned once more. He drew in a deep breath, staring at the reflection in the tall glass window. The same successful face, but empty. And now, perhaps, a new reason to live. "I'll come right away." The welfare center stood in an old neighborhood, its iron gate screeching as it swung open. Neon light spilled over stained walls. Alexander followed the social worker inside. "I'm Maria, handling Anna's file. She doesn't talk much, and she shows signs of being sensitive to the sound of water. Please go gently and let her choose." Alexander nodded. He had dealt with million-dollar contracts, yet now a single meeting with a child made him feel as nervous as if he were signing the most important agreement of his life. Maria opened the door to a small room. The little girl sat curled up on a plastic chair, clutching a worn teddy bear. Dust clung to her shoes. Tangled hair fell across her face. She didn't look up. Alexander didn't move closer. He lowered himself to her level, his voice gentle. "Hello, Anna." "I'm Alexander." Anna darted a glance at him, then lowered her eyes. He smiled, never pressing. "Would you like me to stay here or sit in that chair? If yes, just nod. If not, shake your head." Anna looked at the chair and gave a faint nod. Alexander pulled the chair over, sat down, keeping a respectful distance. "My house is very quiet. If you'd like, you can come there. You don't have to say anything. Just nod or shake your head." A silence passed. Anna hugged her teddy bear tighter, then suddenly nodded. Maria quietly took notes. Alexander signed the temporary custody papers. Before leaving, he spoke to the little girl in a soothing voice. "Let's go home, Anna." Anna stood up, clutching her bear, and followed him. At the gate, Alexander opened the car door and stepped back. The child climbed in cautiously, fastening her seatbelt by herself. He gave her a gentle smile. On the way back, through the rearview mirror, he saw Anna silently watching every movement of his hands on the steering wheel. Her small shoulders were stiff, loosening only slightly when he turned on a soft piano piece at low volume. When the car turned onto the tree-lined road leading to the mansion, Alexander spoke quietly. "My house is very quiet. You'll have your own room." Anna didn't reply, but her little hands gripped the bear tighter, as if bracing herself for something. At the front porch, Anna froze. Her eyes darted quickly, scanning. Alexander bent down, his voice calm. It's just the two of us." Inside, the warm yellow light fell across the wooden floor. Alexander let Anna try switching on the light so she could feel she had control. Then he led her to the small room he had prepared. Clean sheets, a moon-shaped night lamp. "You can keep the light on all night if you like. The door will stay ajar, never locked." Anna placed the bear on the pillow and stood still. Alexander set a clean towel at the edge of the bed, then turned to leave. Just then, he heard a whisper, so faint it was as if she feared even herself hearing it. "I'm afraid of being near the bathroom." Alexander froze. He turned his head and saw the girl's trembling eyes darting away from his. He didn't ask why. He simply nodded, and deep inside, a promise carved itself into his heart. He would do everything in his power to protect her from the fear he had yet to understand. What he didn't know was that those trembling words would unlock a secret that would change his life forever. That sentence still echoed in Alexander's mind as he gently pulled the door shut. He stood for a moment in the hallway, eyes fixed on the narrow line of light seeping out from the girl's room. Each trembling word was like a fragile thread, binding his heart with a heavy weight. Yet he asked no more. For Anna, gentle silence mattered more than any explanation. Inside the small room, Anna lay on her side, clutching an old stuffed bear. The blanket was pulled up to her chest, messy hair falling across half her face. The door was left slightly open, the nightlight shaped like a moon, casting a soft golden glow. Alexander lingered a moment longer, then turned away, walking slowly back to the living room. Seated on the sofa, he listened to the stillness around him. The mansion had always been silent, but now it carried one more fragile rhythm of breath. His heart stirred unexpectedly, as though the house itself had come alive again after years filled only with the steady ticking of the clock. A faint sound drifted out from Anna's room. She turned over, the stuffed bear slipped to the floor, then was picked up again. Soon after, Alexander heard a whisper in her sleep, so fragile, so raw it pierced his chest. "Don't lock it. Don't lock it." He slowly rose to his feet and stepped closer. Through the crack of the door, he saw Anna tossing restlessly, her brow tightly furrowed. Alexander didn't wake her. Instead, he quietly took a sheet of blank paper and placed it beside a box of crayons on the small study desk. Before leaving, he scribbled a single line. "You can draw anything you want." It was his way of giving her an escape, not through words, but through colors and shapes. Morning light streamed through the curtains, spreading across the wooden floor. Alexander rose early, brewed coffee, and set a few slices of freshly toasted bread on a plate. He heard the soft patter of footsteps. Anna appeared in the doorway, hugging her stuffed bear, walking on tiptoe as if afraid to make a sound. "Good morning." Alexander smiled, his voice gentle as a breeze. Anna didn't reply. She sat on the edge of a chair, eyes fixed on the plate of bread, but never reaching for it. He didn't press her. He simply placed a small bottle of spring water in front of her. Suddenly, a faint drip came from the sink faucet. Anna jolted, wrapping her arms around her stomach, her eyes wide with alarm. Alexander immediately stepped over, tightened the handle, and the dripping stopped. Then he set a full pitcher of bottled water neatly on the table. "It's all right, Anna." "Everything's fine now." Anna stayed silent, but her small shoulders lowered slightly, as if she had just let out a breath. After the brief breakfast, Alexander took the little girl on a walk around the house. He didn't chatter endlessly, just pointed to each place, his voice steady. "This is the living room. You can pick any chair you like. This is the small library. If you don't feel like reading, that's perfectly fine." Anna quietly followed, still walking on her tiptoes. Her eyes swept quickly over every corner, then dropped down. When they reached the end of the hallway, her gaze briefly touched the closed bathroom door. Instantly, she turned her face away and clutched her teddy bear tighter. Alexander pretended not to notice and continued leading her toward her own room. The small room glowed with a gentle light, the moon-shaped night lamp still on. On the desk, the once blank sheet of paper from the night before now bore a few curved blue lines, next to some shaky letters. "Don't lock it." Alexander stopped at the doorway, not stepping inside, his voice soft. "If you'd like, you can keep drawing. I won't touch anything." Anna set the pen down, hugged the bear again, and looked toward the crack of the door. She pushed the door open a little, then pulled it back, leaving a narrow gap. She repeated the motion 3 times. It looked like a small ritual to confirm that the door truly stayed open. Alexander stood still, his chest aching. A child should never have to live with a fear so deep that she checked a door 3 times before sleeping. But he didn't interfere. He let Anna have control. When Alexander brought a glass of warm milk to the desk, he tried asking in the gentlest voice he could manage. "Would you like to take a warm bath? I'll leave the door open so you can decide." Anna shook her head immediately, so hard that the teddy bear in her arms bent under her grip. Her eyes lit up with panic, as if just hearing the word bath made her whole body tremble. Alexander froze. He didn't press further, didn't try to coax her. He simply sat down in the chair across from her, watching in silence. Inside, one question rang loud and clear. What had happened in the past that made a 10-year-old so terrified of a bathroom? He knew the answer wouldn't come easily, but he also knew that from this very moment, he bore the responsibility of finding the truth, to save Anna from the darkness she still carried with her each day. It had been several days since Alexander brought Anna home. He noticed something troubling. She had not once stepped into the bathroom. Even the sound of running water made her clutch her teddy bear and shrink into a corner. He never forced her, but the weight on his heart grew heavier each day. One afternoon, while Anna sat at her desk drawing, the soft glow of the lamp cast a warm light across her face. Alexander noticed small red rashes scattered on her hands and neck. His chest tightened. The girl needed care, but clearly the bathroom was something forbidden in her mind. He sat down in a nearby chair, his voice as gentle as if making casual conversation. "Does it itch?" Anna gave a faint nod, without looking up. Alexander thought for a long while. At last, he said quietly, "Then today, we don't have to go into the bathroom. We'll get you cleaned up right here in your room. Only in ways that make you feel comfortable." Anna looked up, startled. She hesitated, hugging her teddy closer. After a few seconds, she gave the smallest nod. Alexander prepared a small basin of warm water, a few soft cotton towels, and a bottle of mild baby wash. He deliberately brought everything into Anna's room, setting it neatly in the farthest corner from the bathroom door. "You'll be the one to decide. If you don't want to, we'll stop right away," he said, making sure she understood she had control. Anna sat on the bed, Teddy in her arms. She stared at the basin for a long moment, then cast a questioning glance at him. Alexander didn't move closer. He simply dipped a towel into the water, wrung it out, and placed it on the desk. "Whenever you're ready, you can use this." Cautiously, Anna slid off the bed, picked up the towel, and wiped it quickly across her arm. Her movements were tense, but she didn't run. Alexander stayed silent, his eyes turned toward the window so she wouldn't feel watched too closely. After a while, the girl set the towel down, exhaled in exhaustion, and whispered, "Enough." "You did really well," Alexander said warmly. He put the used towel aside, replaced it with another that had already been wrung out, but instead of handing it directly to her, he let her choose for herself.